Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down everything you need to know in the sports world, including Aaron Rodgers departing New York. And you can't teach that, bada boom. Realest guy in the room, G Money Grant Mitchell. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Tanner. Doing pretty well. Realest guy in the room. You changed it up.
I went to the actual wrestling intro there for a second.
Okay.
I don't know where my mind went. I'm a little scattered brain this morning, Grant. I slept good last night. Slept real hard last night.
That's good. You're finally back home. I'm sure that's nice, sleeping in your own bed again.
Yeah, I've been getting lazy though since football's over. You know, like football's done. A little more cautious, not on my heels as much. Need to get up on my toes.
Did you get that hat while you were down there?
Yeah, I got the hat down here. This was like one of the party hats or something. But like none of there was a party and there were a bunch of influencers there. Nobody wants the damn hats. Like nobody's gonna wear the hat if you're an influencer. So I'm like, I want to grab a hat. So I got a hat.
And then what's the shirt? I can't tell. I see. Is that UAB?
No, it's like Elm softball. It's my girlfriend. D3 shit.
I was just. I know you're a collector, and I know you're down south, so I thought maybe you picked it up.
I picked
up.
They're
not the Blazers, are they? They're the Dragons, aren't they?
UAB, yeah, I think UAB is the Dragons,
okay.
the Golden Dragons or something. I don't know. I haven't played them, used them in college football. 25. Are you still playing that game?
So I will say I really don't game. I game probably 2 hours a week, and it's only spent on college football. Yeah, and the reason is because when the game first came out, me and 9 other guys, we formed a 10-man online dynasty league, and we've still got it going. We're in our 6th or 7th season right now, so it's cool. Like. Again, I don't really have much time to devote to gaming, nor do I really want to devote all that much time. But when you work from home like I do, you don't get to go out, see your friends as much. You don't even get social interaction at the workplace. So to be able to log on and, catch up with a couple of buddies, it's good.
Yeah, definitely. I've been playing a little bit more this week than I usually do. And I had a rough game last night through like 4 picks as UConn. And but 7-1 right now in dynasty mode for UConn. My biggest thing is I always get frustrated and I'll like restart the game, but this one I'm staying true to it. I'm not restarting. So I'm 8 games in. I'm 7-1. Had a really rough game in that 8th game though. Really rough.
You know what's funny? Because you're UConn. I'm using UMass in our dynasty right now.
Are you good?
I am good. Yeah, I'm the best in our league. So we've done this again. This is our 6th season. We had the same teams for the first 4, and then after that we switched it up. We took bad teams, but not like awful. Like I was the University of Houston. Someone chose Memphis. Someone chose Coastal Carolinas. Like not very good teams, but still not awful. When we restarted, we all went to terrible teams. So I took UMass. Someone took Georgia Southern. Someone took UTSA. Like that type of stuff. So. We're in our 2nd season of this reboot, and I won the national championship our first year as UMass. So yeah. I'm the defending champ.
There's a lot of fun games coming out too if you are into gaming. Like I haven't played NBA 2K at all, which I don't know why. I never get into that, but I want to. And then PGA Tour 2K25 looks sick. MLB The Show looks fun. That's coming out soon. So very, very excited about the gaming landscape right now of the world. Very excited.
I mean, again, I don't really put much time to gaming, but you're right. The games do look pretty cool. I almost wish I was a kid now. I love the games we got. Like I loved playing MLB Road to the Show. I loved NBA and NFL Street. I loved Crash Bandicoot and all that stuff. But just some of the development of the new games, like PGA Tour, that game looks insane.
Yeah. Well, but then the kids don't get up. They just play video games all day. That's the problem now. We didn't have that with Crash Bandicoot was fun though. I remember that game. That was a blast on PS1.
Yeah, Super Monkey Ball, all that stuff.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, we got a lot of sports to talk about today. We're gonna talk a little NFL draft, talk some Aaron Rodgers, talk some Tyreek Hill, Noah Lyles trying to stay relevant. Anyways, Grant, before we do that, tell them why they need to check out WSN.com.
Yeah, guys, the NFL season might be over, but NBA, NHL, MLB, soccer, MMA, tennis, literally everything else is still going on, and WSN.com is the place to be. If you're into sports betting in any shape or form, Tanner, myself, and a bunch of other people, a team of experts, we talk about previews of games and matchups. We share our favorite betting picks. We're looking at futures odds. And most importantly, we got promo codes to make your sports betting experience a more profitable time and journey. You can get deposit matches, bonus bets, profit boosts, all that great stuff. You will find it at the World Sports Network at WSN.com.
Grant, did you see the Red Sox signed Alex Bregman?
I did see that.
That's huge. That's
a
big.
very, very big move.
They may win the American League East this year. They're that good.
What, Tanner, I got to say, the Yankees beard rule, facial hair rule is the dumbest rule in sports.
It is dumb. It's really dumb because you take their flow away. You take their mojo, their vibes away. Like there's so many guys that go to the Yankees that should have facial hair and then they just don't. It doesn't work. Like Alex Verdugo.
I was just about to say, did you see how much aura Verdugo lost?
Yeah, like he lost all his aura, and he was still trying to have the chains and all that. They're like one chain. You can only wear one chain. He's got like 3 chains running down third base, popping out of his shirt. Like Alex Verdugo was meant for the Boston Red Sox. Like he was meant for the Dodgers. He was not meant for the New York Yankees. He's just like, he just doesn't have that aura. He's not signed yet. I wonder who's going to pick him. No.
I mean, he'll get signed.
Probably, but I don't know. He was like a bad clubhouse guy, I guess, in Boston for a little bit. Or let's see where's he going to play, Grant? Let's see. Where's Alex Verdugo going?
Never in a million years did I think we were starting the show with an Alex Verdugo free agency update.
Looking at a 1-year prove it deal on the open market. 1-year prove it deal. Alex Verdugo. Yeah, he's just like the Yankees destroyed him. I think New York's good, don't get me wrong, but Boston's just their upside, and I know I'm a Red Sox fan, but their upside's super high this year. So we'll see what happens. But
no, I'm with you. I like the Red Sox upside.
All right. So why don't we start with Noah Lyles?
Okay.
This dude's trying to stay relevant. Nobody cares about him. Every 4 years, some don't care about him. Nobody cares about him right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't want to accuse you of being disrespectful because you're not. You're right. Tyree or Noah Lyles is doing everything he can to bring eyes to the sport of track. And when you have someone like Tyreek Hill who has gone after the track community, it only makes sense for you to try to rope him back and really try to bring the eyes to the sport. Really, Noah Lyles is a better athlete than Tyreek Hill is. I understand that, Tyreek's in the NFL and we don't look at it like that, but Noah Lyles is literally the best in the world at what he does. He is the third fastest man of all time, over 200 meters. Tyreek Hill is not the third best wide receiver of all time. He's not the third best football player of all time. So Noah Lyles really is the superior athlete, but some of the things he said, some of his comments, like the whole world champions for what thing, making a big deal and then getting the bronze at the Olympics, saying he had COVID, but then being at the nightclub. He just doesn't present himself very well to people who aren't fans of his and who aren't fans of track and field. So I can understand why people would be annoyed with him, think that he's corny. Ultimately, I think this is going to be a good thing for Tyreek because, he's finally going to get to go out there and put himself to the test. I think it's going to be a good thing for Noah because he will win and he'll be able to reinforce to some of the people who believe that NFL athletes are superior to everybody else. And it'll be a good thing for the NFL because, it gives them some off-season content. It'll be a good thing for track and field because more people are going to see it. And kind of like sprint did, maybe people actually start paying attention to it.
Well, NFL athletes are superior to everyone else, Grant. Like we can't.
They're superior athletes, but they're not superior sprinters. They are not faster than the Olympic sprinters.
Nor should they be. I mean, but if Tyreek, it's like nature versus nurture. If we take Tyreek, say you're going to train just for track and you're not going to play football since high school, like he could probably have been one of those elite guys. We don't know how he's going to develop.
Well, so the reason Tyreek is a special case here is he's an outlier for NFL terms because Tyreek was actually a better track runner than he was football player. Tyreek, went to was it West Alabama, and then he was a late round draft pick, and he was just special teams for the Chiefs a while, and they really developed him. That's not what his track career was like. When he was a gold medalist on the USA U20 4x100, and I believe they set a world junior record. He ran super fast times. He ran a time. I don't really know how to translate it, but he would have probably made it to the final round of the Olympic trials in the 100 when he was in high school. So he's different. It's not like a football player who could beat track runners. Like, no, this is a real track runner who decided to go to the NFL. So that's where the lines get blurred a little bit. And I think the casual NFL audience doesn't realize that. I honestly believe Tyreek could have been a better track runner than he was NFL player, but I'm not saying that would have been the right decision to make because he made so much more money in the NFL. But bottom line here, Tyreek's gotten a lot older than when he ran those times. He's got a lot of hits on his body, just the cumulative bruises that he's built up. And also he's in his 30s now. Noah Lyles is in his prime as a sprinter. He's in his late 20s. So this really should go to Noah Lyles. And if it doesn't, then I would be completely shocked.
Got a lot of babies too, Grant. A lot of babies. A lot of babies. That weighs you down too.
He's lost a lot of his testosterone.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have a home next year. Do you see him going back to Miami?
He's still under contract, isn't he?
Yeah. He wanted out though. I don't get how you can post you on top of Antonio Brown's face, like on his Twitter profile, like waving goodbye, and then go back.
He was also saying, "I want to go back to the Chiefs. I appreciate Miami, but I don't want to be here anymore."
He should have never left the Chiefs. Like he should have. Did he left in free agency?
Yeah, he left in free agency and he signed I think it was a 4-year deal for $30 million, which at the time was unprecedented, but now receivers getting more than that. And that's how the market works, right? Like that's just the steps that happen. But if Kansas City was going to offer you 29 instead of 30, now we're at a point where receivers are asking for 35 plus. So your 30 just still doesn't even look that great anyway. You should have just stayed with the Chiefs.
Well, I'd rather get 25 million and win a Super Bowl. I think. I mean, I don't know what it means to these guys. Everyone's got different mentalities. Like we see Cam Newton, going on ESPN saying, I'd rather win MVP than a Super Bowl because MVP is an individual award. For most people, I would say they'd rather win the Super Bowl. It varies, but what are your intentions? Like when you're talking 30 versus 25 million, it's 5 million. Obviously, no matter how rich you are, you don't want to give up 5 million. With that being said, though, if I can go to a contender for 5 million less, like that, I have to consider that. And at the time, Miami probably seemed better than they were going to be, but the Dolphins their team has just not found a way to get anything done.
No, I mean, the Dallas Mavericks just traded Luka, and because of that, he lost $110 million. That wasn't his choice. That was Dallas's choice, but these things do happen. And if you're going to a more favorable situation, it makes it a lot easier to overlook. And no, you're saying Tyreek could have won a Super Bowl instead of taking the extra 5 million. No, the Chiefs won a Super Bowl without him. He probably could have won 3 if he stayed there. Because if he's there and they go against the same Eagles team, they probably have more to offer. Travis Kelce's probably going to retire this year, or if he doesn't, well, he's at least washed. Tyreek isn't washed, so going into next year, he'd still be a credible threat. Maybe they could win the Super Bowl next year as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see Tyreek in New England. Like that would be a good trade for them.
So I think on the field it would be good, but Tyreek doesn't. It's very clear he wants to play for a Super Bowl, and New England's not going to do that. So I don't know if you want to put him next to Drake May.
New England's going to be good, Grant. New England's going to be good.
I think they will be. I think they're. We have to see how the roster shakes out, but I see them winning probably 8 games.
We don't have win totals yet, but I'd bet them over their win total. I think they got 5 like gimmies on the schedule. Honestly, I think they go 8
because they were at the bottom of the division, so they get the easy schedule.
Well, still though, it's hard to win the NFL, Grant. Hard to win.
All right. If you have Jaden Daniels.
Grant, you know what? Jaden Daniels is literally going to be CJ Stroud part 2. He's going to take a step back this year. How does it feel that the Eagles are going to own that division for years and years and years?
I think the Eagles might actually be victims of their own success. I think they're going to have to continue to draft super well, and they have for a while. But as soon as these Eagles guys hit the market, they're going to be getting huge offers that the team can't match. Other teams are they're going to overpay to try to get them.
They got one more good year though, at least, because you got Zach Bonds in free agency, and Zach Bond you need to bring back. Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, and then Mekhi Becton. Like those are your 4. You can replace Becton. You can probably replace Milton Williams because you have so many studs around him. Like you don't need the impact guy there. You got to bring back Bond somehow. It'd be good to bring back Josh Sweat, but like once like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and, Jalen's under contract, but Saquon's still under contract. Like once some of these guys that like Goddard, once you lose those guys, then you're going to have trouble.
AJ's there for another 2 years, I want to say, but there's been some, speculation that he might want to go somewhere else or another team might try to get him. Goddard is still solid, but he's past his 30s. He's getting older. The biggest thing is that the Eagles' offensive line is young, which is crazy for how good they are.
Yeah.
But I mean, to answer your question, I mean, the Eagles are going to be great. They're going to be right at, if not atop the NFC for at least the next 2 years, I would say. For me, as a Commanders fan, I want to see what we do in free agency and what happens on the trade block. If they go out and they get Myles Garrett and they nail free agency, I really don't think the Commanders are that far behind. And most people would say they have the better quarterback. We'll have to see if that holds up next year. But
yeah, definitely. Speaking of quarterbacks, Grant, Aaron Rodgers. I want to pull up some next team odds for Mr. Rodgers that we have here. He's gone from the Jets.
Can I guess?
Like who the favorite is?
I'll give you a list. Yeah.
All right, give me a second. Let me pull up Aaron Rodgers' next team odds. Aaron Rodgers no longer the New York Jets quarterback. It's probably exciting for Jets fans. I guess they said to him, like, you can't do McAfee if you like you can stay here, but you can't do McAfee anymore. And obviously there were other requests than just that, but he said, I want to do McAfee.
It should have been like that from the start. They conceded way too much power to a guy who had never done anything for them.
All right, you ready to guess?
Okay. So number one, I'm going to say the Steelers.
Yeah. Where's Russ going?
I would guess
they would trade Russ or retire.
I would guess the Raiders, Pete Carroll reconnect maybe.
So Raiders, Steelers, Raiders are number 2 for Rodgers. So one of those.
That's what I was going to guess, actually. Steelers and Raiders.
Okay, who's next?
Number 3, let's see. Who needs a quarterback and who would take
You'll never guess this one. I would never have got this one.
Vikings?
Vikings are on there. They're 4, but you won't get 3.
Okay, who's 3?
49ers.
Okay. I guess that's if they decide not to pay Brock Purdy.
And move on from Purdy. Yeah, but that doesn't... I don't know what you have to pay Purdy, but Purdy's good enough to win. I'd rather have Purdy than Rodgers in a minute.
Well, his representation supposedly is asking for $60 million a year, and I don't know if I would give that to Purdy.
I probably wouldn't give it to Purdy. If I was Purdy, I'd be taking a team-friendly deal just to try to keep my place in the league. But
yeah, I want to see if that works out to no 60 is what we actually want, or that's where we're starting the negotiations, and then we'll work down to 40.
He's got one more year though.
Yeah, next year's his last year of his rookie deal, because he was the last pick in the draft, so he's only under contract for 3 years, I want to say.
But they want to. This would be 4, wouldn't it? Because he's had 2 years starting.
4 years, maybe.
Yeah, he had bench year, starting year, 4 year. Yeah, they're 4 years. The first round, I think 5. Then you go Titans, Colts, Rams, Giants, Browns, Jets. Jets obviously aren't going to take him back. But the Rams at 10-1, that's if Stafford retires. Giants at 12-1, that would make no sense. Cleveland 14-1. I mean, Deshaun should never play quarterback for them again.
No, Deshaun's NFL career should be over. I think the Browns could actually get involved there if Rodgers. I guess the Jets would have to pay a lot of his contract there. They could also go after Kirk Cousins. I don't think the Browns are going to take a quarterback in this draft, and then maybe they would just go after one of those 2 old guys.
I just don't know. Like if you're the Steelers, and what makes it hard, there's not great quarterbacks this year. Like Shedeur and Cam Ward wouldn't even be first-round picks if it was last year. So like that's what makes it harder. With that being said, I don't think I want Aaron Rodgers on my football team at all, especially first year, new coach, like for the Raiders. If I'm Pete Carroll, I don't want Aaron Rodgers. I can't imagine Tom Brady wants Aaron Rodgers.
Now, Aaron Rodgers' stats, if you look at them, are okay, but if you watch them play, he refused to throw the ball beyond the line of scrimmage. There was no mobility, there's no escapability. He didn't want to push the ball down the field. He made a lot more mistakes than he ever had. He's a locker room cancer. at 40 years old, having the torn Achilles behind him, he's only going to get worse. He's not going to get better.
With that being said, though, he had no offensive line in New York. Like that was their biggest issue.
Actually, so as you know, I was telling you before the show.
What were their stats good, Grant?
Well, I don't know. We're about to find out live. But one thing that I'm doing, which I was telling you about before we started recording, is I am writing a full mock draft for the first 3 rounds that is going out on WSN.com. I've finished the first round, and I'm working. Well, I've finished the first round and the write-up. I've made the picks for the second round. Currently working on making picks for the third round. But because I'm doing that, I have some stats ready to go. So let's see. The New York Jets for pass block win rate were 23rd, and for run block win rate, they were 29th.
You can't win like that. So like you can't expect a old quarterback to win when you can't run the ball and you can't protect him when you need to. So I can't necessarily blame him for not pushing the ball down the field. No quarterback. You saw Patrick Mahomes. He was terrible in the Super Bowl, but his offensive line was terrible. So you need to mesh Aaron Rodgers with a good offensive line. That's why maybe a Pittsburgh, a big physical football team that wants to run the ball, could work out well for him and just work in play action. But if I'm Pittsburgh too, I got Justin Fields. I'd rather let's see what we can do with him for a year. And
you have to re-sign him.
You have to re-sign him, but I can't imagine his value is going to be overly high on the market. It could be. But like no one's going to give him an extended deal. Like every deal Justin Fields get is a prove it deal, 1 year kind of thing. Bring him back, see what you can do, and then give him, if he's good, then you put a big bid on him in free agency next year. And the fact of the matter is he's not going to get that $60 million deal, even if he has a great year this season. So I think that would be your best option more. And then if you suck, great. If you suck, you get a better pick in the draft and you can take quarterback, worst case, if you want to move on from Fields.
Well, Mike Tomlin is never going to suck. It's not allowed.
He's never going to suck, but I think there's got to be a season where he goes under 500. I don't think he can finish 9-8 every single year.
If he goes under 500, I think he's fired.
I think so too. He shouldn't be fired now. Like people are saying Mike Tomlin should be fired is preposterous because like what else? The goal is to win the Super Bowl, but how many coaches can go above 500 and get you the playoffs every single year? Very few. Who's going to replace that? There's only a select coaches that can get over the hump. There's good coaches that get fired. Mike McCarthy. That's a good coach who probably is better than Schottenheimer. That's going to get Dallas in the playoffs consistently. He's just struggled to win the big game in Dallas, but Mike McCarthy is a good football coach.
So let me float this idea to you. What if the Steelers sign Rodgers 1 year? Rodgers can try to restore some of his legacy. He'll know it's his final year, so we can go all in on it. Try to erase the stink of what happened in New York, go to a stable organization with a good coach. The Steelers then in the draft round, they draft a Jackson Dart or a Quinn Ewers, maybe a Jalen Milroe, let him sit for a year behind Aaron Rodgers and then move forward with that as their plan.
I like that. I think Ewers or Dart could be really good. I don't see it as much with Jalen Milroe. Do you have him going in the first 3 rounds?
I haven't finished my third round, but with where I'm at right now, he's not been picked.
Yeah, I can't. Jalen Milroe is going to be a guy that goes late, will make a roster, but I just don't necessarily see it with him. I think like Quinn Ewers sitting behind Rodgers could be good. I think Dart behind Rodgers could be good, but also, do you want Rodgers influencing your quarterback if things go wrong?
No, so that's what that's the big worry, and that's why I'm not saying like go to Chicago to work with Caleb, go to New England to work with Drake May. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if we're in the context of it's a stable organization with a good coach who's used to keeping the locker room together, like Mike Tomlin has proven that he can, and Rodgers knows this is a 1 year deal and it's over, I think everybody would be on the same page. So it would work better than like a Zach Wilson incident, for example, where the Steelers or the Jets take him second overall and then they bring in his replacement, but Zach Wilson's still there and it wasn't really comfortable for anybody.
Like that's a guy who I would consider going after if you're trying to rebuild.
Oh, yeah.
Like Zach Wilson, like I'd rather give Zach Wilson the 1 year deal now that he's been the backup. Like we've seen it work out with Sam Darnold. If you suck, great. you get a quarterback next season in the draft. And if you're good or if you're average, great. You did your job. But like, that's a guy who I would go after, who I think people forget about a lot. I think Zach Wilson's going to be an okay quarterback in the NFL someday based on what we've heard out of Denver. So I can't bring Aaron Rodgers into my franchise right now. If I'm any of these teams, I would not do it. So are the Colts then? The Colts would move on from Anthony Richardson. They would try to trade him.
I don't think that's happening.
I don't think that's happening either. You can't do that. But that would be Anthony Richardson was one of the dumbest draft picks in the world. The kid didn't play at Florida. Why do you think he's going to play it in the NFL well? Like, he played 12 games at Florida.
So do you want to hear some of the top prospects at the quarterback position in 2026?
Was that when? Oh, that's coming next year. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got Lenora Sellers from South Carolina, Nico Iamaleava from Tennessee, Arch Manning, Drew Aller.
Can Nico come out? Was Nico a redshirt freshman this year?
He was a redshirt freshman, okay. Yeah. Drew Aller, Miller Moss, Carson Beck, Garrett Nussmeier, Sam Levitt, Jalen Daniels, Connor Wegman.
Garrett Nussmeier is going to be the highest pick out of this group. He's the most prototypical NFL quarterback.
Yeah, he wasn't bad last year, but he definitely had more to show. I'm with you. The potential's there. He's just got to fill it out.
Yeah, 100%. I think Carson Beck's going to be a high pick just because people love Carson Beck. Sam Levitt.
Is Arch going first in the next draft?
No. I think Arch needs 2 years at Texas.
They're probably going to pay him so much NIL money he'll probably end up staying.
Why would you ever want to leave college football? Like, if you are one of the top tier guys, like Arch is, by the time we get to Arch is going to be making 10 million a year in NIL. He's already a Manning. Like, generational wealth is fine. Like, you ain't worried about making your own money. He's fine. He's making 10 million a year, or will be making like 10 million a year, play college football. You're the quarterback at Texas. You have the chance to bring the Longhorns back and win a national title. If you are the quarterback that wins a national title for Texas, you are going to be a god. You're going to get a stadium or a statue outside the stadium. Why would you ever want to leave Texas?
I guess what if they win the national championship next season? Then you don't have those obligations to fulfill.
If he wins the national championship and they get he lights the world on fire, like he's the favorite to win the Heisman, that's ridiculous. The kid can't hold on to the football right now. So once he learns how to not fumble the football, maybe I can put him as the favorite to win the Heisman. But if you go to Texas and you win national championship next year and you're going to be a projected first round pick, you probably leave. Other than that, though, if people are saying he needs another year to develop, but he's going to be that guy in a year, which everyone expects him to be, I would never want to leave. I would just want to stay.
Yeah, it's the same thing with coaching too. If you want a stable job, long-term security, college is a much better place to be than the NFL.
Yeah, and you can coach differently. Like, it's a job. Again, I would probably rather, if I'm a coach and my ability to feed my family relies on 18-year-olds or professionals, I'm probably going to lean towards professionals. With that being said, I think college is just a cooler environment. Like, you hear it all the time with these guys, like even in college basketball, and maybe college basketball more so because half the NBA teams are duds. Like, if you go to Charlotte or something, right? Like, you'd probably rather stay at Alabama basketball, but you see it with these guys. Like, they end up missing college when they leave. And I think you're getting less of that now with NIL.
Yeah, I think you're right. Spot on.
All right. NFL draft time, Grant.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right. First pick. Who's going first, Grant? Who's your first pick?
So this is an interesting spot. Cam Ward is the betting favorite. He's been as high as like 2-1 for a while with Shedeur. Then it went to Cam. I think he's about -130, -140 at this time. I'm not entirely sure, but it should be around those odds. The reason that's interesting is the Tennessee general manager came out and said, hey, we're not drafting a quarterback just to draft a quarterback. We're drafting who we think is a generational talent. And those words alone lead me to believe he's talking about Travis Hunter. Now, that could be a smokescreen, right? And then, of course, you've also got the case of Abdul Carter, who I think could be a gamer. I think it could be awesome. I think could be close to Micah Parsons in the NFL. but I just don't know if he would use that phraseology. That again, the way he said it sounded like Travis Hunter. So I think it's going to be one of those three. I think it's going to be Cam Abdul or Travis. I don't know where. I'm still going to go Cam Ward. You know, Brian Callahan's the coach. He was, I think he was a quality control guy or an analyst with the Peyton Manning Denver Broncos. He was the offensive coordinator with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. So he's been around strong-armed quarterbacks who air it out, can score a bunch of points. Cam Ward led college football in passing. Miami led college football in scoring. So I think the fit makes sense there, but it's far from a slam dunk.
I personally think, as bad as Will Levis has been in his career, go one more season with Will Levis. I think that makes your team better and draft around him. You can always.
Who would you take?
Probably Travis Hunter. If I'm Tennessee, I'm probably taking Travis Hunter and getting a weapon. You know, you don't have a lot of weapons there.
Or so one thing I heard, I was listening to Joel Klatt's podcast the other day, and I think he had Travis going 5th, but I wasn't so much worried about where he went. He said something that I thought was interesting because there's been so much debate about, is Travis Hunter going to play both ways? And if he doesn't play both ways, which side do you want him on? He basically made the case, make him a full-time corner and then a slot receiver on the offense, so that instead of playing 70 to 60, 70 snaps per game on offense and 60, 70 per game on defense, he's still at, 60 or so on defense, but then he's only at like 25 to 35 on offense. You can put him in the slot so you can get the ball in his hands and he can make more plays, but he's not required to go against the number one corners. Thought that was an interesting idea.
Yeah, I think that's what you probably have to do with him. I have fears with Travis Hunter. I have fears that he's not going to turn out to be that dominant in the NFL. I look at him like, do you have those fears?
I've been on record with that for months now. I think he was the best player in college football, but I share these concerns.
I kind of like, he doesn't, now it's totally different, but he reminds me a little bit of Myles Jack. Remember Myles Jack at like UCLA? He was playing like running back and running back or linebacker or something like that. Yeah. Like, I look at Travis Hunter and he can't live up to what he did in college. There's no chance he can do that. He's not the biggest framed guy. Like he's not a prototypical slot receiver in the NFL. I don't necessarily see him playing corner in the NFL and like winning against some of these big, like AJ Brown versus Travis Hunter. I can't see him shutting down AJ Brown, nor should he.
Travis Hunter's also a pretty bad tackler.
He got better this year though.
He's pretty bad. Might be a little harsh, but he's not a great tackler. He wants to stop the pass. If the pass gets completed, then his effectiveness kind of goes away. He's not a physical guy that's going to come up and stuff the run. He had the great play against North Dakota State on the goal line at the start of the year, but you don't get too many of those.
6'1", 185. I don't see that when I look at him.
He doesn't play like that.
He does not play like he's 6'1". But you know what? Like AJ Brown is 6'1", 220 or 222.
He's 6'2", but yeah.
No, he's listed at 6'1", Grant.
Oh, wow.
Like, in AJ Brown, I thought AJ Brown was 6'6", honestly, the way he plays.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I'm not lying there. But
I mean, there aren't a bunch of AJ Browns run around the NFL. AJ Brown's a unique case.
No, he is a unique case, but in the end of the day, he's still 6'1", and he plays much bigger than 6'1". Yeah. So that's the difference there. I think if you're Tennessee, what would you do? Would you take a quarterback and risk with Cam Ward? Because Cam Ward's just as much of a risk as Will Levis is. And if you're telling me Cam Ward was a second-round pick a year ago, I don't know if I want to risk it.
I would go either Cam or Abdul Carter because I think Travis has a wide range of outcomes. Cam Ward has a wide range of outcomes. If Cam Ward hits, it's more important than a cornerback or receiver hitting. That's what I would look at it as. And then the guy who I think has the highest likelihood of success amongst those guys with that potential Hall of Fame talent, I think that's probably Abdul Carter. Yeah. So that's why I would go one of those two.
He's a stud. So who'd you end up sending to Tennessee?
So I had Cam Ward going first.
All right. Who'd you have going to Cleveland?
This one's interesting because, again, I think it's not going to be Shedeur, in my opinion. So I think it has to be Cam Ward or Travis Hunter. I think the case could have been made for Travis for a long time, but I think Myles Garrett's trade demand kind of changes everything there. If there's one thing that Cleveland's been able to bank on, it's the fact that they've had a strong defensive presence, and they're just in such a bad place, and they've been in such a bad place for a long time that, again, I think they need sort of a guaranteed positive impact. And I know that Abdul Carter is going to be a good pro. Travis surely can be, but he's trying to become a first of his kind guy. And because of that, we don't have a proof of concept that it's going to work out. So you could take this guy and you think he's going to play both ways. And really what happens is he's a liability on both ways. So I would go with the more guaranteed pick, and I would go with Abdul Carter second.
I'd get rid of Myles Garrett right now. Or maybe if you want to wait till draft night, fine. But you can get a lot of capital for Myles Garrett, and you can draft Abdul Carter to replace him and start your rebuild. The last time the Browns are good, Grant, you know what's crazy? Baker Mayfield. Last time. That's how good Baker is. Giants. Shedeur.
I want to hear your thoughts on this one because mine's a little bit of a hot take.
Well, I hear the Giants don't draft. They only want white quarterbacks.
I mean, that is true. They kicked Gettleman and whoever the coach was out for starting Geno Smith and breaking Eli's Iron Man streak.
But that was stupid. That was like you were done. You had no chance of winning. Like you let Eli go out how he wants to go out. That was stupid.
So do you have him taking Shedeur?
I think you have to. You have no quarterback.
So this is where, again, this is a hot take, and I'll spoil something that's in my mock draft here, but supposedly the Rams might be done with Matthew Stafford. Brian Dable and Joe Sheen, however you say his name.
Shane, yeah.
They're probably going to be fired if this year doesn't go well. If you take a Shedeur, if you take a Cam Ward third, there's a chance you go 4-13. And that would probably be the end of those guys. If there's a possibility for them to trade for Stafford, or if they can sign Jameis Winston or somebody like that, I think they're going to do it, because I'm thinking a lot of people probably have the same concerns we have about these quarterbacks, right? Like Bo Nix was the 6th quarterback taken in the last draft. Would you take Cam Ward before Bo Nix? Would you take Shedeur before Bo Nix? Probably not. So if you can get, in the way that things have fallen on my draft, Travis Hunter would still be there. And I think it would make more sense for them to try to get a proven commodity, maybe not the best quarterback in the world, but a guy that can get you to like 8 or 9 wins, and then get Travis Hunter there, split him up so that you've already got Malik Neighbors drawing most of the attention on offense, put Travis in the slot, let him get his 30 plays a game, put him on defense as well. The Giants secondary was really bad, and go from there.
I like that. I think that's the right move for them. I don't necessarily see Shedeur going there. It wouldn't surprise me if he does, but if you're trying to win now and save your job, it can't be any of these quarterbacks. And there's a lot of quarterbacks on the open market right now. I'd rather test my luck with Aaron Rodgers, honestly. Like if you're going to go down, and I know I said I wouldn't bring Aaron Rodgers in anywhere, but if you're going to go down swinging, and you're going to go down and try to get the best available quarterback out there, like Matthew Stafford, I would take over Rodgers, but I'd rather take Rodgers over Jameis Winston. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think it's going to work, but if Aaron Rodgers ended up there, it would make sense on what they're trying to do.
And if I have 1 year to save my job, I trust Aaron Rodgers to deliver in that 1 year more than I trust Shedeur Sanders his rookie season.
100%. Okay, so we'll do a few more here. New England, Grant. Who do you have going New England? They drafted an offensive lineman.
That's what I have them doing. It just makes sense. Here, let me get those numbers back up. So the New England Patriots were 31st in pass block win rate, 32nd in run block win rate. Literally, the worst offensive line in the league. Couldn't have been worse. It seems like Drake May is going to be your franchise guy. He had some hiccups, sure, but he was only 21 when the season started. He only played 3 years of college football, or actually 2 years because Sam Howell was there. The roster was just not talented at all. You got to protect him. That's how I view it. You tried for some receivers, the Jalen Polks of the world. It didn't work out. That sucks. Probably going to dip into free agency. Probably going to overpay for T. Higgins. If that happens, go get him some help. I haven't taken Will Campbell out of LSU. Get him a tackle. Let him stay upright. I think the Patriots gave up 66 sacks last year. Drake May's not going to survive if that happens every season.
Yeah, I love Will Campbell. Love that kid. He's the one who is like the McDonald's quote. You give up 1 sack a game. You heard that one, right?
Nuh-uh.
He's like defensive lineman. If they get 1 sack a game, they're going the first round. Offensive lineman. If you give up 1 sack a game, you're working at McDonald's or some Wendy's or something like that. So that'd be a cool.
I didn't know that was him that gave that quote.
Yeah, that'd be a cool signing there. And then we'll finish it with Jacksonville. We'll do 5 today. We'll keep this going throughout the next few shows. But Jacksonville, who you got?
Well, I mean, I've dominated this. You got any thoughts here?
I mean, you wrote the damn thing. So Jacksonville, they were trying to shop. Or they weren't trying to shop. Somebody reached out to them right over
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Giants reached out. Steelers reached out over Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
So I think that if you are the Jaguars, you would need to protect Trevor Lawrence, or you need a receiver, because they were going after T. Higgins originally. Defensively, go ahead.
I was going to say building the trenches, I think, is the biggest thing for Jacksonville.
Yeah, so I think offensive lineman.
So I mean, in that case, you would have a couple of options there. You've got, the Texas boys. There's still a lot of good tackles on the board at this point. I had them going with who I thought was the best just player left at this point, which was Mason Graham, Michigan defensive tackle. Again, the point of attack is so important. That's what the Eagles just proved in the Super Bowl. And not that the Jaguars are ready to win a Super Bowl, or maybe not even ready to make the playoffs. But if you get the guy, Mason Graham he's a culture piece. He won a national championship with Michigan. And when Jim Harbaugh was there, he's probably the most disruptive player on the interior in all of college football. He's only 21 years old. He had 20 hurries, which, defensive linemen, interior defensive linemen are never going to get a ton of sacks unless their name is Aaron Donald, but it's about the hurries. He had a very high percentage, very high pressure percentage. And he's a big run stuffer. So knowing that Jacksonville has Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker on the outside, if you give them that presence in the inside, that's going to allow those guys to, pin their ears back, get after it on third down, rushing the passer, and hopefully Mason Graham slows other teams down on first and second down.
I like it. I like the first 5 picks. I think that's going to be spot on. The Giants, it wouldn't surprise me if they still go Shedeur, because maybe you can make the case if you're Brian Daboll that, well, if we win 6 games this year with Shedeur, like, we'll keep our jobs kind of, because you don't want to, the last thing you want to do is replace your coach after drafting your quarterback. And teams do it all the time. They don't cut ties early enough with coaches. They wait till they get the quarterback. It doesn't go right. And then they fire him. And now you're Caleb Williams with a brand new quarterback or a brand new coach this season, who's never been a head coach either, like for Caleb. So it just, teams need to dip on coaches earlier.
Yeah, I would say it's more likely that the Giants do end up drafting a quarterback, but I don't think it's the smartest thing to do.
Not this year. It's not a loaded class. If you had last year's situation, yes, but not this year.
Did you see, real quick, we can get out of here, but did you see the quotes about Shane Waldron and Caleb working together in Chicago?
No.
So apparently Caleb, I don't know how true this is. I don't know the legitimacy, but I just saw an article with a report, and I guess Caleb was asking Shane Waldron for tips and like asking to watch film together. And Shane Waldron he wasn't watching film with him. He wasn't really giving him much advice. And Caleb was basically trying to be his own coach.
I don't know how much I believe of it or not.
Caleb impressed me with his temperament for the most part this season. He had some bad nonverbal moments on the sidelines, but he said all the right things at the podium. And as bad as the Bears were, he didn't turn the ball over for like 10 weeks or whatever it was. It could have gone a lot worse, I guess, is what I'll say.
I don't know if I believe it or not. Maybe it's true. I don't want to. Man, if you're an NFL coach, your job's to watch film, and your job relies on winning football games. You want to get your quarterback up to speed. So I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can believe it or not.
Yeah,
maybe towards the end of the season.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. Maybe towards the end of the season when things were going bad, it's like, well, I'm out anyways. I ain't watching film. I'm not showing up early. But if we're talking like preseason, I don't know when this came, but I can't imagine it in the preseason.
Did you see what Shaq said on TV last night?
No.
He said, I'm tired of shit, Ernie. Get us out of here. And he's like, what? We're getting fired anyway. F them. But he actually said it like out loud on live TV.
This is last year, right?
Yeah, last year they did.
Where are they going next? They'll never work.
I think it's Amazon. I think Amazon bought them, but then Charles said like he would only work for TNT. So I still don't know what's happening.
Do you have YouTube TV?
I do.
CBS getting cut? Ridiculous.
That's wild.
They have to get it back before March Madness. Like, you have to.
I don't think they will. CBS has Paramount.
So my question is, when we get to NFL season and you buy Sunday ticket, do you not get the CBS games now?
Probably not.
Like, you can't even do Sunday ticket if you don't get the CBS games. That's half the games every weekend.
It's just going to have to be Red Zone.
Yeah, but you can't do that, Grant. That's crazy.
Because that is, I mean, the amount of streaming platforms you have to pay for just to watch basic television is out of control.
To watch the Red Sox, I got to buy like 350, like the Red Sox, not like I can't do MLB TV. I have to buy MLB TV for all the games, but then I have to buy the local Red Sox station for $350 a year to get all the Red Sox and Bruins games, which is wild. I don't know. It's going downhill quick. But March Madness, I don't know how YouTube TV is going to survive without showing March Madness games, because that's where you would want the 4-box layout with all the Turner Sports games on.
Yeah, YouTube TV was the best streaming platform by a mile, and it's going downhill. It's losing games, and the price is going up.
Yeah, Fubo. I think that's a good one. Is Fubo good?
So I tried them like 5 or 6 years ago, and I didn't like it, but I don't have an up-to-date opinion on them.
I might have to try Fubo because I think they have CBS, but you also I don't think you get the ease and accessibility. Like YouTube TV, pulling out your phone, it's the best. Can't beat it anywhere you want. Or I don't know.
I think Fubo was working on a project, and I think they closed it down, but I think they were trying to do some sort of like in broadcast betting thing where like you could bet on stuff with your remote.
I don't need that. I just need them to be able to show the games. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Anyways, Grant, take us out of here.
Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line. Tanner and I are going to be back at the start of next week, so please hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Make sure you check back out all of our upcoming shows. Drop some comments. Let us know where you think Aaron Rodgers is going to go, what you think of the Noah Lyles, Tyreek Hill race, where your favorite player is going to get drafted. And like I said, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Tanner and I will catch you all in the next episode of Ride the Line.